So the Grand Inquisitor turned to the dark side because he wasn't allowed a library card? Yeah, that's the backstory. A Jedi Temple Guard got so resentful about being stuck guarding archives he couldn't access that he eventually fell to the dark side and became the Empire's chief Jedi hunter. Look, I'm not here to rehash that origin story again. We've covered it. You've mocked it. The comments section has turned library card privileges into a meme at this point. Fair enough. But here's what I actually want to talk about. Inquisitors as a concept are brilliant. They offer what I keep seeing people call a sith-like experience for Star Wars stories, and I think that phrase nails it. You get dark side villains with lightsabers, former Jedi with tragic backstories, intimidating hunters who can actually lose to your protagonists without breaking the entire mythology. Because that's the thing about actual Sith. The rule of two means you can't just throw them at every Jedi Survivor story. Palpatine and Vader are it. That's the roster. Kill either of them, and you've got continuity problems that would make the story group's heads explode. Inquisitors fix that problem elegantly. They're expendable. They can have complete emotional arcs. They can die. They can even be redeemed, all without touching the sacred Sith timeline. The concept is perfect. The execution? Wildly inconsistent. Some Inquisitors became genuinely compelling villains. Others got squandered through plot armor, weak motivation, or narrative choices that contradict everything we were told about how the Empire operates. And I want to give you a quality assessment. Specific names, specific verdicts. Which Inquisitors delivered on the promise, and which ones wasted it? But first, we need to address something that's been confusing people in the comments for months: the numbering system. One commenter wrote that they thought the Grand Inquisitor was number 1 of the strongest Inquisitors. That interpretation makes intuitive sense, right? Grand Inquisitor at the top, then first brother, second brother, all the way down. Higher number equals lower rank. Except that's not how it works. And honestly, I'm not sure anyone at Lucasfilm knows exactly how it works either. Here's what we can verify from canon. The numbering spans from 1st through 13th, with Marok confirmed as the first brother in a November 2024 databank update. 12 Inquisitors total. The Grand Inquisitor plus 9 numbered Inquisitors plus 2 unnamed Inquisitors who appear in supplementary materials. The Grand Inquisitor exists outside the standard brother/sister hierarchy entirely. He reports directly to Darth Vader and oversees daily operations. His title supersedes the numbered system rather than being part of it. Now, you'd think the numbers themselves would indicate rank. Lower number, higher authority. There's even dialogue in Star Wars Rebels that suggests exactly this. In Relics of the Old Republic, the fifth brother confronts the seventh sister with the line, "You would dare question me, seventh sister?" She responds, "Only when you're wrong." That exchange explicitly emphasizes the numbers in their titles. It implies organizational weight. Fifth outranks seventh. But then Obi-Wan Kenobi comes along and throws a wrench into everything. Reva, the third sister, directly challenges the fifth brother for the position of Grand Inquisitor. The fifth brother claims he's next in line, based on his number. And then Darth Vader promotes Reva anyway, just ignores the entire system and gives it to her because he wants to. So what do the numbers actually mean? One theory I find compelling: the confusion is the point. The Sith deliberately assign arbitrary numbers and rankings that mean nothing. Why? Because they want their minions competing selfishly for power. Give Inquisitors a system that seems to imply hierarchy without actually having clear rules, and you create constant resentment and backstabbing. Nobody knows their real standing. Everyone fights for favor. That's classic Sith philosophy. Internal competition serves the Master's interests by preventing subordinates from forming coalitions. It's also possible the numbers are chronological, assigned based on when each Inquisitor joined. But that falls apart too, because Trilla and Reva were described as relatively newer additions to the organization, yet both received low numbers. Second sister, third sister. If numbers tracked recruitment date, they'd be higher. Here's where it gets even messier. In May 2022, someone discovered in obscure reference materials that two Inquisitors of the same rank existed simultaneously. A third brother and a third sister. Same number, different genders, serving at the same time. That fundamentally breaks the sequential theory. It suggests that brother and sister indicate gender, and numbers can repeat across genders. Or that the system is even more arbitrary than anyone assumed. And the chaos continues into recent publications. The Star Wars Encyclopedia released November 19, 2024, identified an Inquisitor as the first brother. 2 days later, on November 21st, StarWars.com updated their databank to identify Marok as the first brother. Lucasfilm Story Group member Leland Shee then confirmed the encyclopedia designation was a mistake from a miscommunication. In 2024, they still have internally inconsistent information about their own numbering system. My conclusion? This system was never designed to make sense. It's deliberately opaque. An organizational structure that maximizes psychological competition while preventing Inquisitors from ever knowing where they actually stand. Whether that's intentional world building or post hoc justification for writers not coordinating with each other, honestly, I can't tell you. Maybe both. Do numbers get reused after an Inquisitor dies? No evidence suggests they do. When the fifth brother died on Malachor, no new fifth brother appeared. When the ninth sister died in Jedi Fallen Order, that designation wasn't transferred. The only succession we see is Reva briefly becoming Grand Inquisitor after the original one was stabbed, and even that gets undone when he survives. Anyway, that's the system, or lack thereof. Let's talk about the Inquisitors themselves. Trilla Suduri, the second sister. She is the benchmark. Everything an Inquisitor can be when the writing actually delivers. Trilla was a Jedi Padawan who served at approximately the same time Ahsoka Tano apprenticed under Anakin Skywalker. Her master was Jedi Knight Seer Junda. During her time as a Padawan, sources describe her as kind and compassionate, caring for her master and the younglings under her protection. Then, Order 66 happened. Trilla and Seer survived the initial purge. They went into hiding, protecting a group of Jedi younglings. When an Imperial patrol discovered their location, Seer made a choice. She would be the hero. Run off to lure the Imperial forces away while Trilla stayed hidden with the children. The plan failed. The Imperials were faster than Seer. She was captured. And after horrible torture, Seer Junda gave up the exact location of Suduri and the younglings, the very people she had sacrificed herself to protect. That's the chain. Seer's capture leads to Seer's torture, leads to Seer's broken will, leads to Seer giving up Trilla, leads to Trilla's capture, leads to Trilla's transformation. Clear causality. You can follow every link. You understand why she fell. Not because of some abstract resentment about archive access. Because her master, the person she trusted most, cracked under torture and betrayed her directly. When the Imperials retrieved Trilla from her hiding place, they took her to their torture facility and used the dark side of the Force to break her. The torture combined with her master's betrayal wore Suduri down until she succumbed. She became the second sister. From that point forward, she served under Darth Vader and the Grand Inquisitor. In her first 5 years as an Inquisitor, she watched hunts for Padawans and missions to Moncala and the unknown world succeed without complications. Each time the Inquisitors apprehended a Jedi, they returned to their base on Coruscant to celebrate. She became one of the Empire's deadliest hunters, combining expert lightsaber dueling with a brilliant intellect that allowed her to anticipate her prey's behavior. When Cal Kestis was discovered, the Empire dispatched the second sister to hunt him down. What makes Trilla work isn't just her backstory. It's how she uses that backstory as a weapon. She doesn't just fight Cal physically, she fights him psychologically. She knows exactly what vulnerabilities a former Jedi Padawan carries, because she was one. She reveals to Cal that Seer betrayed her. She tells him, if it wasn't for her, she betrayed me. She warns him, how long before she cracks and betrays you too? She mentions Cal's master, T'Pol, specifically to anger him by using his own vulnerabilities against him. This is psychological warfare from someone who understands Jedi trauma from the inside. She still anticipates behavior. She still deploys intellect. Those Jedi-trained skills remain, but now they serve the Empire. The contradiction at her core, who she was versus who she became, creates genuine emotional complexity. Before her fall, kind and compassionate. After torture and betrayal, twisted. You see both versions fighting for control throughout Jedi Fallen Order. And then the death scene. Trilla and her adherents were failing in their final duel with Cal and Seer. When confronted by her former master, the second sister wavered. Sources describe her wavering back into the light in that moment. A return to her former Jedi identity. Connection with the woman who had once trained her. At that exact moment, Darth Vader arrived. Realizing Trilla had failed and shown mercy to two Jedi, Vader used the Force to hold her. Unable to break free, Suduri told Junda and Kestis to avenge us before Vader activated his lightsaber and executed her. After her death, Seer Junda opened up about her role in Trilla's fall. She accepted she could never make it right, and later, Junda used Trilla's saber to ceremonially bestow upon Cal the position of Jedi Knight. The instrument of the fallen hunter became a symbol of redemption and continuation. That's how you write an Inquisitor. Tragic backstory with clear causality, psychological depth. A villain who challenges the protagonist on multiple levels. A death that carries emotional weight and reverberates through the surviving characters. Now, Reva. This is the controversy. And I'm going to take a position because that's what you asked for in the comments. Reva Savander, the third sister, is the primary antagonist of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Her backstory establishes her as an Order 66 survivor who witnessed Anakin Skywalker kill her friends and barely managed to survive herself. That trauma drives her entire character. She wants revenge on Vader. She joined the Inquisitors specifically to get close enough to kill him. That's actually a compelling motivation, different from other Inquisitors. Someone who infiltrated the organization from within, playing a long game of vengeance. On paper, it works. The execution is where the problems start. Someone in my comments put it perfectly. I always find it absurd that Trilla gets executed by Vader for failing to capture a random Jedi, but not Reva, who literally never caught Kenobi. Is this fair criticism? Let me walk through it. Trilla's crime. She wavered, showed mercy to Jedi during a duel, failed to secure the holocron Vader wanted. One moment of hesitation, one flash of her former self, and Vader killed her immediately. Reva's record. Multiple failed attempts to capture Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let key targets escape repeatedly. Was stabbed by Vader, left for dead, somehow survived, then failed to kill Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. And she lives. She walks away from the series redeemed, not executed, not even apparently hunted afterward. The defense for this inconsistency goes something like, Vader knew Reva's real intentions the whole time. He was using her. Her failures served his purposes because they kept Kenobi moving. Okay, maybe. But here's my problem with that defense. If Vader knew Reva's intentions and was manipulating her, why stab her and leave her for dead? Why not just continue using her? And if he considered her expendable enough to stab, why not finish the job? Vader, the man who executes officers for minor tactical failures, just leaves an Inquisitor who betrayed him bleeding on the floor? Trilla showed one moment of hesitation toward her former master. Instant death. Reva actively tried to assassinate Darth Vader. Survives. The inconsistency bothers me. Not because Reva's arc is inherently bad. The revenge infiltration concept has genuine potential. But because the writing doesn't play by the rules it established elsewhere in canon. Vader's brutality is supposed to be absolute. He doesn't tolerate failure. He definitely doesn't tolerate betrayal. Except apparently he does, when the plot needs him to. I'm not saying Reva is a worthless character. Moses Ingram commits fully to the role. The childhood Order 66 sequence is genuinely affecting. But the execution asked us to accept behaviors from Vader that contradict everything we know about him from other Inquisitor stories. That's not Reva's fault. That's a writing room that didn't coordinate with existing canon or chose to ignore it. Trilla earned her arc. Every beat followed logically from the previous one. Reva's arc required the story to bend around her rather than the other way around. That's my position. Brief mentions on the others. The seventh sister in Rebels. Her rivalry with the fifth brother provided some characterization through conflict. That "you would dare question me, seventh sister?" exchange came from their dynamic. Not deeply developed, but she served her role in the story Rebels wanted to tell. The fifth brother. Described as strong in the Force, able to sense emotions and track prey across vast distances. He argued he was next in line for Grand Inquisitor in Obi-Wan Kenobi, which suggests he believed in the hierarchical system. What did he actually believe about the Empire? What drove him beyond duty? We never found out. Wasted potential. The ninth sister. She exists. Fights Cal in Jedi Fallen Order. Gets killed. That's about it. The comments showed zero interest in discussing her, which tells me everything I need to know about her impact on the audience. Now, Marok. This is different. This isn't me giving a verdict. This is me acknowledging an open debate. Marok appears in Ahsoka wearing Inquisitor armor. When he dies, green smoke emerges from his body. That smoke resembles Night Sister magic. Two main theories emerged from this. Theory 1. Marok was undead, reanimated by Night Sister magic. This would explain why he fights like an automaton, why the green smoke appears at death, and why he never speaks. He wasn't really alive at all, just a corpse animated by dark magic for Morgan Elsbeth's purposes. Theory 2. Marok was always a Night Brother who later became an Inquisitor. One analysis suggests he could have found the Eighth Brother's armor and used it for his own protection. Or he could have been a Night Brother who served as an Inquisitor before working with Morgan. The green smoke would be natural to his Night Brother physiology rather than posthumous reanimation. One commenter laid out detailed counter-evidence with enumerated points. That got significant engagement. People are genuinely thinking about this. I'm not going to tell you which theory is correct, because honestly, the show didn't give us enough information to know. And I think that ambiguity is part of what makes Marok interesting. Not every mystery needs a neat answer. Sometimes the speculation is the fun part. What I will say, whoever Marok was, the presentation worked better than some other Inquisitor introductions. Mysterious, threatening, left audiences wanting more rather than giving them too much. So where does this leave us? Inquisitors can work brilliantly. Trilla proves it. You need clear motivation rooted in personal tragedy. You need psychological complexity that challenges protagonists beyond just lightsaber skills. You need consequences that match the established universe. You need a death, if death comes, that carries emotional weight and affects surviving characters. The concept isn't the problem. Inquisitors offer the Sith-like experience that Jedi survivor stories desperately need. Former Jedi corrupted by the Empire. Expendable enough to lose, compelling enough to remember. The problem is inconsistent execution. Some Inquisitors got full character arcs with real stakes. Others got plot armor that contradicted established rules. Some deaths landed with devastating impact. Others happened off-screen or got undone by convenient survival. If future Star Wars projects want to use Inquisitors, and they should because the potential is enormous, they need to look at what worked and learn from it. Trilla Suduri didn't become the benchmark by accident. Every choice in her story followed logically from previous choices. Her psychology made sense. Her end earned its emotion. That's what Inquisitors can be, when Star Wars doesn't waste them. Subscribe for more stories like this.